Benalla is an attractive city of 9,000 people in rural Victoria. However, in common with many communities, large and small, the civic and business leaders came to realise that they needed help to stimulate support for local businesses. In 2007, they decided to implement the BEAR program. This DVD follows the process.
The Business Expansion Retention Program, commonly known as the BEAR program, had its origins back in the early 80s when a number of US communities started to acknowledge the fact that the most important business resource they had were the businesses that were already in town, not the ones they hoped to attract or the new ones they wanted to start up, but the ones that had been there, often for a long time. And they recognised they did very little to help those they already had. And so several communities started up a program that we now call the BEAR program. And what it simply is where residents within that community volunteer to go out and have a conversation with their business community. They go out in pairs, they administer a structured interview questionnaire, but fundamentally it's a conversation about what helps, what hinders, what good ideas do people have to make their community a better place to run a business. And from those simple origins back in the early 80s, it spread around the globe.
There are 4 steps in the BEAR program: preparation and planning, business visitation, analysis, and community feedback and implementation.
Stage 1 is simply preparation. During this stage, communities explore if it's a relevant option for them. Upon accepting it as a way forward, communities then obviously need to begin to form a leadership, or what we call a task force group, to take responsibility for its design and implementation.
The Benalla business community was really disenfranchised and disengaged as a result of the awful drought, the bushfires and the unseasonable frosts that we'd experienced, so there was a need to do something. I was very familiar with the BEAR program and a great supporter of it, but I knew that the only way to do it was to have the ownership of the local business network. So Kyra Rees, their secretary, and I attended a seminar run through MAV, and it was at that time she felt that it was something really great to do in Benalla. So we ran a seminar to introduce it briefly to the business members in Benalla, and then we called for a breakfast meeting to be attended by people who were interested in participating on a higher level. It was a real success, and from there we formed a task force of 7 people from all walks of life who would participate as members of that group to run the process.
The first job for the task force was recruiting the volunteers who would be conducting the interviews.
We decided to source the volunteers from as many different places as possible. It was important to us that we had a very broad range of ages and backgrounds. I spoke with Rotary and gained a lot of support from there. U3A was a fantastic source of volunteers, people from really interesting backgrounds and enough time to be able to do the job. We also wanted young people involved, and at first we were a little alarmed. They were quite young, they were sort of year 9 and 10 kids, but they were just fantastic. Probably the thing that brought everyone together was the training program, where everyone was taken through the art of running an interview, and it was just a fabulous program. So everyone was on the same foot, and the young people were just terrific in that process.
The training course was excellent. It gave me an idea of what was required, it gave me a good understanding of what the BEAR process was all about, and I think it helped me to have a little confidence when I went to the businesses.
We had a session where we got all the volunteers in and did some role playing where they actually practiced being the interviewer, because we had many people who were enthusiastic about doing interviews, school children through to retirees who hadn't done interviewing before.
Next came selecting and contacting the businesses to be visited.
The task force spent time selecting the breadth and number of businesses that we were going to interview. We chose them mainly from the Benalla Business Network database, but also from the broader community. Once we had all that information, we then set about contacting each business. Once they agreed to participate in the program, they were sent a letter and told that they would be contacted by someone within the next 2 weeks. It was an exciting process, and once we had all the businesses on board, only one said no, which was quite incredible. We then set about matching up our volunteers with our businesses, and we went into action.
Stage 2 of the program is the visitation, utilising the volunteer interviewers and a structured interview questionnaire. Teams go out and start interviewing local businesses.
I got sent the questions before I did the interview, which I thought was very good, and I could have a look, and just looking at the questions, they were pertinent questions. They weren't just airy-fairy things about, you know, possibly a council trying to look as if they're doing the right thing. These questions got right to the nitty-gritty, and you could see by the questions that they wanted to help our business.
People were very keen to talk about their business, and it was very exciting to see that they were enthusiastic about what we were enthusiastic about.
It was really good because I got to see different people and what their business was and different aspects of the business.
My confidence level was pretty low at the start, but once I got into the interview, it became really high.
Stage 3 of the process is the analysis stage.
As the interviewers completed their processes and interviews, they'd return all the information to me. I would then process all of that, and we got some terrific help from the Department of Education and their Access database to assist us with that. One of the first things that we tried to address was we looked at the red flag issues, things where people had identified they needed something straight away, that needed action. And in many cases I was able to do something about that immediately.
There was definitely a couple of red flag issues that we raised along the way. One of them was through mental health. We were looking at guidance with mental health and which directions we could go through and who could help us in what areas. And this program gave us some definite guidance of who we could speak to. The other red flag issue is logistically, how we could get couriers to and from the different towns that we supply. So in Melbourne or in the cities, if you're trying to get couriers from different suburbs, it's easy enough. But in the country, I've now found out it is still easy, just a matter of finding out who to speak to. And so we've now got a list of different couriers and where they're going to and which towns they service.
Once we started to look at the results of the interviews as a task force, there were some really clear themes and needs coming through. Probably the greatest of them was the difficulty all businesses were having in recruiting skilled staff and the flow-on that had to customer service. We learnt that there is a real need for serviced offices in town, somewhere where consultants in particular, can take people for professional presentations and discussions. We also found out we need a foundry in town, and we had some IT issues that need resolving. So as a group, we've set about putting together a booklet and an action strategy around recruitment through to customer service, and that's just about complete now. We've looked at developing a set of interview suggestions for employers so that they can better work with young people and have some better outcomes in that area. Transport was another issue that we've had some significant success with, where a local business has actually created a fantastic map which is being used now across the region, and we're actively trying to find some foundries and some manufacturers to come to the region.
And finally there's the community feedback, implementation and action stage.
The work was done. We all came together to celebrate our achievements as volunteers, as businesses who'd participated, as council staff. Everybody was there. We had our young people there, which was a really important thing for us, for them to be joining in our celebrations. We sat there and we looked at some of the reports and we told the businesses exactly what we'd achieved and what we'd learnt.
Businesses got to know each other. There was a great networking night. People hadn't known other activities that were going on in the town. The students got to meet up with business people and with other interviewers, and there was just a terrific buzz for the whole night.
Shortly after we did the BEAR program, we ran a campaign called If You Can't Get to Paris, Try Benalla. It was a shop locals, support local campaign, and it was just supported so well by all the businesses in this town. The street looked fantastic and people had this amazing energy that we just haven't seen in this community for a long time.
Without a doubt, it's changed my attitude towards council. And it's also given me contacts within council, so now if I do have some issues, obviously I can speak to people within council and get some answers. But it's definitely shown me that council are serious about the businesses that are here. It's
a must for every municipality, absolutely fantastic. The opportunity for people to pull together, help each other and work together.
This process is not only a business process, but also a process which engages the community and gets the community and the business side of the community working together.
I believe that the BEAR program gives communities opportunity for growth.
Personally, I got a lot out of it. I felt connected with my town again.
The BEAR program is just a fantastic experience. It's something I really can't recommend to you more strongly.
We've seen what can happen in Benalla. It's obviously been a wonderful thing, and it could come to a town or community near you. I recommend that it's appropriate for any community in Victoria or Australia.